In this video, I'm gonna use the good old LaTeX to recreate a Kelmscott Press page. If you are not familiar with it, the Kelmscott Press was founded by William Morris at the end of the 19th century, and it was responsible for some of the most beautiful books ever printed, including the Kelmscott Chaucer. The book I chose today is In the Defense of Guenevere, a series of Morris poems. And this is gonna be the page that we are going to recreate today. Let's get into the video. I'll start with a blank Overleaf project, and one of the first things I want to do here is to change the compiler. So we come here and click Menu, and from PDF LaTeX you change to ZLaTeX. This will allow us to use a different font that I'm gonna show you later in the project. So with that already done, we can start by defining the document. So let's start with the document class. Document class, inside here, 14 points and ext book. And then we're going to use the package geometry. This geometry package will allow us to change the paper dimensions, which is going to help us to better modify the page to our taste. So we're going to see later. And now I'm going to change the geometry of the paper. So I'll type geometry. And inside here, the total dimension of the paper, which is gonna be 140 millimeters by 215 millimeters. And now I'll type in the inner margin, which is going to be 29 millimeters. The outer margin, 50. Top margin, 20 millimeters. And bottom one, 70. Millimeters. With that done, now it's time to start opening and closing the document. So I'm gonna type begin and type in inside the curly brackets document. You see Overleaf will already type for you the end document. So this is where our document is going to be. Now what I'm going to do is to paste the text that I want to typeset inside this begin and end document. So let me try and find the text here, which is going to be right here. I'll copy all that, and back to Overleaf, I'll paste it here. And now let me recompile and see what we got so far. Okay, nothing fancy, but we are going to work on this document later on in the project. We are a little far from the end results that we want, so let's start adding some more elements to make our page look like more from a Kelmscott Press. So one of the things that's gonna make or break the design is gonna be the font. So if I look in here, I'm gonna show you something. These are the fonts that are official or were officially used by the Kelmscott Press, which is Golden Type, Troy Type, and Chaucer Type. The one that we want to use is something that looks like the Golden Type. These fonts are not available on LaTeX as far as I know, and not even Z-LaTeX. But looking here in the 1001 fonts, I found this Kelmscott Roman font, which is very similar, and I believe it was inspired into the official one from the Kelmscott Press. So we're gonna use this font here, and here's an example where how the text will look like later in the project. So what we're gonna do is to download this font, and then we are going to import this to the Overleaf project. So I have it already here, so let me go back to the Overleaf project. I have the font already downloaded here. It's gonna be an OTF font, and what I'm gonna do is to import in here and upload the file to my project. So let me upload the file. I have here my font already there, and to use this font, what I'm gonna do is to type this command here and outside the begin and end document. So the command is gonna be use package font spec, which is gonna allow us to use different types of fonts. And inside here I will type set main font and the name of the font. So let me just, to not commit an error here, I will rename and copy the name of the font exactly how it looks like in here. So let me go back to main text and paste inside here. Let's recompile and see if we have any changes in our font here. So look at the document here on your right. Let me recompile, and here we have the font. Let me just zoom in a little bit so you can see how this Kelmscott font look like. Now with the font already in use, I can compare again with the original text or the original print from the Kelmscott Press to see if we got it right. So as I can see here, they are pretty similar. Let me just go and zoom in a little bit here so we can compare better the font is being used. So it's looking good so far. But one of the things that I noticed is that the line spacing of our document is a little bit larger than the original one from the Kelmscott Press. So what I'm going to do is to change this in narrowing this line spacing. So let me go back to the Overleaf project, and inside here I'll do a renew command, and in the first curly bracket I'll type baseline stretch, and the number that I want to use. It's gonna be 0.8, and let me recompile again and see if we have a change in here. Yeah, it's looking like more as the Kelmscott Press. I'm just gonna open again here our reference document. It's looking good so far. The Kelmscott Press books are very well known by their ornamentation and drop caps. So if I looked at the original here, we have a beautiful initial here, And then what we're gonna do is to take that initial and start placing here in our project. So what I did before was to get a screen grab of this letter here, so this drop caps I here, and inside Inkscape I vectorized it, cleaned it up, and then I saved. So if I show you what I did, this is the end result. So we have some transparency here, and I'm going to import this picture inside our project in Overleaf. So let me get there. I'm stop it and go back to the project here, and I will import this Kelmscott I inside my project. Don't worry if it's not going to showing right now here, it's gonna work. So if I click in here, you're going to see the drop caps that we are going to use. So to make it work like a drop cap, we need to do some changes in the code here. So the first thing is going to enable the lettering package. So let me start by typing use package lettering, and then since I'm going to use a graphic, a image to represent this lettering, I'll also use the package graphic X. So there you have it. So we are already using it. Let me just add a comment in here. Use drop caps. Okay, so now at the exact position where we want to this drop caps to show up in our text is where we are going to type the next series of commands that I'm going to show you. So first let me check where it's presented in the text. So if I look at the original here, it's going to be after this sentence here with passionate twisting. So let me get inside here of the text. So it's going to be just after it. So it's going to be exactly here where the cursor is blinking. So to put it there, let me type lettering, and I'm going to open a square bracket here, and inside it I'll type lines 6, which means that we are going to use 6 lines of text where this drop cap will be spread. So lines 6. And the other parameters here are not so interesting right now for me to explain to you, but it's going to define the raise of the drop caps compared to the text and the indentation of the first text that's going to be next to this drop caps. But I'll just type in here. You are going to see how it's going to work. So L raise equals 1.00 and F indent, which is going to define the indentation. And now I'm going to define the image that we are going to use as our initial. So image equals true. We are going to close the square bracket here, and inside curly brackets I'm going to use the name of the image. In our case here it's going to be Kelmscott underscore I dot png. So this is our image. Let me just close this again, and let's see what we are going to have. Let me recompile here, and I'm going to delete the I. So recompile again, and there you have it. It's a little bit messy, but we are going to fix that. So for the next one here, instead of a break line, I'm going to add this kind of break line here, and I'm going to repeat to everything here until our example, which I'm going to look at again, which is going to be Harold's sung his name. Okay, so let's go back here, and I'll continue to add this kind of line break here, and the last one. Let me recompile again and see if it works right now. There you have it, much better. So the next thing I'm gonna do is to change the indentation. As you can see here, we're having some problems because at each start of a new paragraph, which is what we are doing here, we have some indentation. So let me remove this indentation. So to do this, I have to go back before the document, and I'll type set length, and it's gonna be par indent 0 points, which is gonna remove this indentation. Let me recompile again and see what's happened. Okay, I had some problems here. Let me see if I have the solution. Okay, just a typo here, and let's try it again. Another typo here, sorry for that. And let me recompile again. There you have it. So now we have a better looking text here. If I go back to our reference document here, the next thing I want to do is to insert this margin note, the defense of Guenevere. So let's start and add this to our project. So to do this, I have to enable the margins by using the package margin note. So use package margin note, and inside here I'm gonna renew command, and now type a star here, and I'll change the margin font I want it to be large, and the color I want it to be brick red, and let me recompile this and see what happens. Oh, before doing this, I want it to have a margin bar width of 4 centimeters. So it's going to be the size of our margin using this margin note. So with that ready, I have to go and define inside the document. So to do this, I have to go and inside the document and see where it's going to be placed. So it's gonna be right here in the beginning of the whatever. So let me type inside here our margin note. So margin note, and the text that I want it to show up is the defense of Guenevere. Okay, let's recompile and see if it works. Okay, so right now I see that the color is not defined, and I know why, because I didn't define the package that uses this color. So what I'm gonna do is just write here, I'll define the use package inside square brackets DVI PS names, and then inside here X color. And let me recompile and see if we have the defense of Guenevere. So there you have it. Let me just show up in detail here. It's looking good. It's not exactly the same, but it's looking good. Let me compare with our original document, and we are getting there. The next step here is to make the page number go to the bottom of the page. As you can see here, by default we have our page number placed up here, and if I compare to the original one, we have our page number right here in the bottom of the page. So let's modify this in our document and see how it's gonna work. So here I'm going to use package fancy header. Let me type this one. Use package fancy HDR, which is gonna be fancy header. Page style fancy. I'll define fancy HF, which I believe it's gonna be header and footer. Open and close, and I'll modify the footer first. So fancy footer, fancy foot. And I'm gonna place these letters here. L is gonna be left, so it's gonna be placed in the left when it's gonna be in the even page. And inside the curly brackets, I'll set up old style nums, which is gonna use the old style numbers. It's will match more with the style of this Kelmscott page. And inside here, I'll type the page, which is literally the number of the page. And I close everything, which is all right. I'm gonna copy this line here because I'm gonna change just a little bit in the second one. So here I'll type R and O, which means right. So the number of the page is going to be right at the right side of the page in the odd page. Same thing for the old style numbering. The page, everything is all right. And let me recompile and see that we have the results that we want. Okay, so the number of the page is down there, which is a good thing. As you can see here, it's going to be in the left side, in the even page, and the odd page, it's going to be on the right side. But we have a side effect here, this line here. So the thing is to just renew this command, renew command, and we are going to make this head rule 0 points, just that. So I'll type inside of the first curly brackets head rule width and in the second one 0 points. And let me recompile and see if this line disappears. There you have it. So far it's looking good. Now what I'm gonna do is, if I look at the page here and try to compare visually, it seems that our font here is a little bit smaller than what we want. So maybe it's not the best solution, but it's the solution that I came up with. So inside the document, just after the begin document, I will type large. It will change the font, the size of the font that I'm using here in this document to the large size, which is gonna be similar to what we have here in the margin note as we define it right here in the margin note command. So let me recompile again, and we are looking good. So if I compare with the original one, we have almost everything very, very similar. Now I see that one of the things that we are not looking right here is that we start in the page number 4, but it's not so bad here, but I want this page to start in an even page. So what I'm gonna do is to come inside here our document. Just before we start everything, I will add a blank page. So I'm gonna type a series of commands here just to make a blank page appears in the beginning of the document. Maybe it's not the best solution, but it's gonna work here and you're gonna see the results. So let's see if it's gonna add a blank page. So let me just add a comment here. Add a blank page and recompile. We have our blank page here and our second page here, which is our main subject, is already in here. And we see that the number is in the left side of the page just as we wanted. Our margin note, it's looking good. We have everything placed in the right place. And let me compare with the original one. So it's looking much like the original one. I'm just gonna zoom in a little bit here so you can compare both side by side. Things look good so far. We could end in here, but I'm gonna add a little touch here to be easier to compare both pages. What I'm gonna do is insert a new command here, which is gonna be use package wallpaper, and inside the document I'll add tile wallpaper, so it's gonna import this image here, which is going to be the background of a node page, and it will place in the back of this document just to look much more with what we want to achieve here. But I didn't import here. I know that I'm going to use this file, so let me just go into import this background. I'm going to open here before. So this is our background page, which I took from one of the blank pages of In the Defense of Guenevere. So it's original. Let me go and import to our project, upload one file, and let me just check if everything matches. Paper, background. Okay, let me recompile and see if we got it right. And there you have it. So if I go and put the page side by side, in the left side we have our original scan from the Defense of Guenevere, and here at the right side we have our PDF, which is going to be our example we are going to use in our LaTeX project. And we can, in the next page here, I can add this the Defense of Guenevere here as margin note. I'm gonna do this for you right now so you have a good idea of what we are trying to achieve here. So let me copy the margin note, and just right here I'll paste again, and let me recompile and see if we have the margin note here, and open again. We have our page here, and if I go back here we have our first page here. So that's it.